We heard you haven't subscribed to VHS Rewind yet. Horror, comedy, or TNA, Christopher and Mark cover it all. What are you waiting for? Subscribe now!
In a world of mindless movie cliches, one podcast fights back. Critics are calling it profound, epic, free. Prepare to revisit your video cassette memories of the 1980s and 90s. Behold, it's VHS Rewind.
David Lightman was a master at computer games. A fast thinker.
Oh, David! Maybe you could tell us who first suggested the idea of reproduction without sex.
Your wife?
Get out, Lightman.
And a promising student at an old game.
Hi.
With an electronic twist.
Those your grades?
Yeah. I don't think that I deserved an F. Do you?
You can go to jail for that.
Only if you're over 18.
This computer company is coming out with these amazing new games in a couple of months.
And I want to play those games. Wow.
What?
We got something.
He found the right code word to play the game.
We're in.
But it was the wrong computer.
Shall we play a game?
How can I ask you that?
How about mobile, thermonuclear war?
Fine.
What the hell?
They're trajectory headings for multiple impact re-entry vehicles.
How's that mean?
I don't know, but it's great.
All stations, this is Crystal Palace.
I wonder if I should use my subs.
22 Typhoon-class submarines departing Petropavlovsk.
What in the hell's happening here?
Oh my God.
Shall we play?
I have 7, correction 8. That's 8 Redbirds. Get on the stack. Tell them to flush the bombers.
Russians are still denying everything, sir.
Who are you working with?
Nobody.
I don't have to believe you.
Today we have Soviet missile warning.
Placed under arrest pending indictment for espionage.
Espionage?
Confidence is high. I repeat, confidence is high.
Cobra Dane, is this an exercise?
Negative, this is not an exercise.
Get me the president on the horn.
It's still playing the game. It's gonna start a war.
Close up the mouth.
Is this a game or is it real?
Wargames. Playing soon. At a theater near you.
Shall we play?
Seriously, what a great trailer, right?
That was good.
That
was the whole movie.
Good. Yeah,
but...
I mean, yeah, you don't really need to see much more. Just throw a little tic-tac-toe at the end, you're done.
Oh my God! Can we talk? Oh, we'll talk about that tic-tac-toe.
Yeah. Well, welcome to the show. VHS Rewind is covering another Deezenpalooza film.
The Deezen starring
Wargames, which came out on June 3rd of 1983. Had a budget of, I believe, about $15 million. And I think it took home somewhere around $85 million.
I know. I remember it was a hit.
Yeah,
it was
big
a big hit. Summer of '83, wasn't that the great summer? Like Octopussy, I remember.
It's the summer of '83. I don't think that's the way it goes, but
what else? Superman 3, Jaws 3. This was right.
Yeah,
this is prime my childhood right this summer.
I'm gonna say 82. I don't know what came out 82, but I'm kind of remembering that 82 and 83 were big summer movies. I mean, big summer years.
Wasn't it like 81 to 85?
I don't remember 81.
I think that was like my high school years, my last junior high through high school, because I know I graduated high school with A View to a Kill.
Oh, really?
Like last day of school, View to a Kill opened, and I was so depressed, and it was like, that's where my life is going. A View to a Kill, because it was such a horrible movie.
I was going into 5th grade, so I'm a little younger. Yeah, I was 10 years old at this point. I saw this in the theaters, and I loved this movie because I was totally into computers back then.
You want to hear something funny? I have never seen Wargames before. I just never
You never sat down and watched the whole. Like, did you ever see?
I'm
parts of
sure
it,
I saw parts of it on, I don't know, PIX or I don't know. I'm sure I've seen bits and pieces.
It's like
but
with
never...
me and Cocoon or something. I've never sat down and watched Cocoon.
Well, there's a reason for that, but you'd think I'd see Wargames, but even during that summer, I was just
Now, what'd you think of it?
So it was. I liked it. Mm-hmm. It had some really tense scenes.
Yeah.
But then it had some really schmaltzy scenes, and especially the ending. Like, I was just like, oh my god. I mean, I know it was the time, and nuclear war was on our minds back then.
Sure.
With a whole bunch of stuff, but no, I did like it. Matthew Broderick, never been a big fan.
I thought this was a solid performance from him.
His character,
kid,
his character, like that in the trailer, you hear him talk back to his teacher, like, your wife likes asexual reproduction. Yeah. He's a dick in this movie.
Oh yeah, I mean, I don't think he claims to be a nice guy. Really.
I guess, but
he's cracking into the computers of schools and changing grades for him and Ally Sheedy.
I was just like, he's Matthew Broderick's always been bland, Mr. Bland.
Mm-hmm.
He could never really do anything. I liked Ferris Bueller. I thought that was a better variation of the same character.
Mm-hmm. He was 21 years old when the movie came out.
This one?
Yeah, so he was probably about 20 while he was filming this.
Ally Sheedy, cute as a button.
Yeah, I thought she definitely looked good in this movie.
Don't like all the hair. I liked her better. St. Elmo's Fire with the short hair.
She was about the same age, about 20. It's always funny they don't just get people who are, 17.
So it's funny, like the supporting cast really draws me in more. Like Barry Corbin as the general, and of course Dabney Coleman. This was he was on a roll during this time.
John Wood, I thought, was very good. Falcon.
Who is that guy? I've never seen that guy before. But
I've seen him in a million different things. I just couldn't put my finger on exactly what. I'll tell you right now, he
had some really great lines and a great way with lines.
I think he did a lot of BBC type stuff.
Yeah, I figured that.
This is all that's kind of what I know him from a little bit. Like, he did BBC Two Playhouse and things like Churchill's People and Slaughterhouse-5.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
He's passed away as of 2011, but he was working all the way back to 1953. Steadily up until his death.
Oh, wow. That's a nice career.
Yeah, totally, man. Now, so I just watched this movie, I think it was last summer. I watched it with one of my nephews, who's 12 years old, about to turn 13 at the time. And he loved this movie. So, just to give you an idea that the younger kids watching these movies, they get drawn into. He's like, I want to get one of those computers and crack into the government. Even though the graphics are so they're like 4-bit Atari level.
All text.
Yeah, like mostly text driven. He kind of opened my eyes to the entire idea. Like, I think that the movie does hold up. It also brings on that, like you said, the paranoia of the early 80s and all of that good stuff.
I was actually surprised by how well it played, like this 1983 movie.
Mm-hmm.
With the technology being what it is back then, and certainly what it is now.
Mm-hmm.
But the surrounding movie really does hold up really well. And like I say, there were a couple of really tense scenes, like the opening scene with
excellent, yeah.
With I could not believe that was Michael Madsen. I was like, I know that guy.
Yeah. Okay. I don't know why I didn't place him, but
the only time I got it was when he pointed the gun at who was that? That was John Spence, right? Yes. I was going to say he was from Hill Street Blues, but no, it's The West Wing. The West Wing. So when Michael Madsen,
turn your key.
Yeah, when he had the gun out and was being that Michael Madsen-y, that's when I was like, holy shit, that's Michael Madsen. But that was a really... The movie opens with this great scene about the two guys in the nuclear silo who are in control of launching our nuclear missiles, and they are getting orders to launch and launch and launch, and the West Wing guy doesn't want to do it because he has a conscience.
Right, the human being in him is awoken. All of a sudden he realizes that he's about to nuke like 20 million people. Or 200 million people.
That would be awesome.
I mean, it's crazy that, and that's part of a problem, though. I mean, you see, like, why that is such a problem. I mean, if we need to launch these missiles, we need to launch these missiles. And that's the beauty of the computers. There's no conscience.
So there's actually a clip, if we want to play that sort of explains sort of what it sets up the movie and where the movie goes from. So if you want to play that.
The very first?
No, the second. The Q2.
Okay. Give me a sec. Bum, dun, dun, dun.
Men had no way of knowing this was only a test.
Lyle, for God's sakes, how many times are we going to go through this? It doesn't make any difference anymore.
I've spoken to each of these men. They all believed it was the real deal.
Now, look, we got to be on a plane in less than an hour. I'm the one that has to explain to the president why 22% of his missile commanders failed to launch their missiles. And what am I supposed to tell him? 22% isn't so bad?
The president knows that I'm fully responsible for the men in my command, sir. I've ordered a complete reevaluation of our psychological screening procedure.
Oh, wait, excuse me, General. And we can't ask these men to go back to the president of the United States with a lot of head shrinker horse shit. Besides, you can't screen out human response. Those men in the silos know what it means to turn the keys, and some of them are just not up to it. Now, it's as simple as that. I think we ought to take the men out of the loop.
Mr. McKittrick, you're out of line, sir.
Why am I out of line?
Wait a minute.
What are you talking about out of line?
Excuse me.
I'm sorry. I don't understand. What do you mean, take them out of the loop?
Gentlemen, we've had men in these silos since before any of you were watching Howdy Doody. Now, for myself, I sleep pretty well at night, knowing those boys are down there.
General, we all know they're fine. The keys when the computers tell them to.
You mean when the president orders them to?
The president will probably follow the computer war plan. Now, that's a fact.
Oh, well, I imagine the Joint Chiefs will have some input.
You damn tootin'. Well, hell. The Soviets launch a surprise attack. There's no time.
23 minutes from warning to impact. 6 minutes if it's sub-launched.
6 minutes. 6 minutes. That's barely enough time for the president to make a decision. Now, once he makes that decision, the computer should take over. Now, sir, I know that you've got a plane waiting for you, but if you could indulge me for 5 minutes, I'd like to show you something.
And they go and they show him the W.O.P.R.
Which they start calling Joshua towards... Joshua.
Yeah, so, I mean, what do you feel about that? I mean, what would make you more comfortable? A human
I'd
being?
rather have people in there.
Really? No, see, I'm completely opposite.
Isn't a computer only as smart as the people who program it? And as we just saw in this movie, a computer can be hacked.
Right, but a 1 is a 1 and a 1 is a 1. With a person, a 1 is a 1, but let me see. I don't know. But I mean, even, they do have the little biscuits, to confirm all these numbers and to confirm the, the instructions and everything like that. But I don't know. I mean, the reality of all of this is right now, if the president were to take the biscuit that they're supposed to have in their, like, arm reach, the president does have a real thing like this where they could actually give the launch order.
Mm-hmm.
Something that actually, not to politicize this, but back in the Clinton days, Bill Clinton actually lost the wafer for several months. Can you believe that?
He did not.
He absolutely did. I'll actually post it on VHS Rewind.
So let me think.
Politicizing, but he did lose it, and it's a very scary thing because what happens if he did? Anybody needs that. But this stuff does exist. There are things like that, so that he can put the code in, get to this, and enter it in, and get these missiles up in the air.
Not to politicize this, but do I want Trump to be able to launch nuclear weapons?
Well, I mean, or do you want the wife of the guy to? Do you want the wife of the guy who lost it and didn't even let the public know until like 15 years later?
That brings up one question I had about that opening scene with Michael Madsen.
Mm-hmm.
John Spence wasn't turning his key at the same time that Michael Madsen needed him to turn the key. And then Michael Madsen takes out the gun as if to shoot him if he doesn't turn the key, but you need him to turn the key and launch the code. So why would you take out your gun to shoot him? I guess. I was just wondering.
Turn the key, the guys,
they're all dead anyway, so you might as well.
Yeah, it is weird. I agree with you.
But again, don't think about it. And it's a tense scene that we actually never see the end of. We don't know, did Michael Madsen shoot him? And, oh, look, it was a test and you shot this guy. Oh, well.
Yeah,
exactly. You guys failed.
Oops. So
do we want to play just a quick clip about the W.O.P.R and what it is and what it does?
Sure.
Forget. Was that 3? I think it's 4. 3.
I got it.
Shifting weather patterns. It all flows into this room and then into what we call the W.O.P.R computer.
W.O.P.R, what is that?
It's a War Operation Plan Response. This is Mr. Richter. Paul, would you like to tell these gentlemen about the W.O.P.R?
Well, the W.O.P.R...
I just want to stop for a second. I remember back when I was a kid, Mad Magazine came out with a parody of this movie, of course, like they would do with any movie. And the W.O.P.R was a big Whopper from Burger King. I always thought that was kind of funny.
Spends all its time thinking about World War III. 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, it plays an endless series of war games using all available information on the state of the world. The W.O.P.R has already fought World War III as a game, time and time again. It estimates Soviet responses to our responses to their responses, and so on. Estimates damage, counts the dead, then it looks for ways to improve its score.
But the point is that the key decisions of every conceivable option in a nuclear crisis have already been made by the W.O.P.R.
So what you're telling me is that all this trillion-dollar hardware is really at the mercy of those men with the little brass keys.
That's exactly right. Whose only problem is that they're human beings. But in, 30 days, we could replace them with electronic relays. Get the men out of the loop.
Gentlemen, I wouldn't trust this overgrown pile of microchips any further than I could throw it. And I don't know if you want to trust the safety of our country to some silicone diode.
General, nobody is talking about entrusting the safety of the nation to a machine, for God's sake. We'll keep control, but we'll keep it here at the top where it belongs.
All right, gentlemen. I think I'm going to recommend McKittrick's idea to the president, and I'll get back to you on this.
You won't regret this.
Actually, you do.
So, if you listen to what that said, it said that the creator is saying that W.O.P.R has already fought World War III over and over and over and over and over and over again.
Right.
And yet, at the end of the movie, it seems to be doing it there, and only then comes to the conclusion that sort of ends the movie, So, and we'll get there. But I was just like, I just want everybody to remember what you just heard, because it comes back at the end.
Well, here's the thing: is in simulation mode, it's playing out the scenario, but in the real life mode, it doesn't have the opportunity to actually do it because, being that there's human beings in, interfering with all of this, there's no way the computer could have, I guess, accounted for Falcon coming back to life, for instance.
Mm-hmm.
It's a scenario that why would it, people don't rise from the dead. So it's a brand new scenario that's been brought to the computer. And that's it. You know what I mean?
Okay.
I think. That's the way at least I look at it in a logical way. So that's why it's a brand new scenario that it's playing out.
So then we are introduced to our Broderick character. I'm just going to call him Matthew. He's never really been a deep actor. He seems to do the same shtick movie to movie. But
his name should have just been Matthew in this. Why give him David?
Yes. And it's funny, we see him in an arcade, which I was scanning all the names.
Oh, I love that.
Of those games. I saw Ms. Pac-Man there.
And he was playing Galaga.
Galaga, and I used to play that.
Galaga was like the advanced version of Space Invaders. Mm-hmm. Things got to spin. It was fun. It shot faster. There were colors.
Colors was the main thing.
And the music and everything was a lot cooler, I thought. And don't get me wrong, I still like the original Space Invaders.
I love that.
Yeah,
I love that.
The good version of it, sure, that's awesome.
With the music.
Yeah. Ironically enough, yeah, like it's like you start getting all panicky. So, I'm going to be up in Lancaster in a few days, and there's this place where I remember the last time I went there, they had one of those sit-down arcade machines for sale, like in a bar. And at the time, I thought the guy wanted too much. I wanted $450. And I've been in contact with him back and forth, so I'm going to go back there and I'm going to make him a little bit of an offer. I looked up the thing, and it might be a machine that can play Miss Pac-Man, Pac-Man, and Space Invaders at one time.
At one time?
Yeah, like it has it all built into it.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So
nice.
I'm gonna I haven't told the wife this, but it would fit perfectly in our the RAV4, and I would love to have that thing.
Nice.
Yeah, so that might be something I'm treating myself to if he goes for it. Anyway, so that I miss the old arcade. I miss the old thing, and it's clear he's good at what he's doing, and he's a nice guy. He gives his game over to the younger kid.
Yep, and he talks back to his teacher, so that gets him some
which we
street
heard in the
cred.
trailer.
And then he goes home, and it turns out he's a computer genius.
Well, wait. First, he gets sent to the principal. And he goes to the secretary or something, and he sees where they keep their main password.
Keep their codes, yeah.
Which happens to be the word pencil.
Now, 83, I don't think my school had computers back then. I can't.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Never went. But, and were they doing grades on computers back then? I don't know, but...
Well, this was Seattle, so... Yeah, I mean, I'm going to guess that the majority of public schools were not computerized in 1983. But you have to take that, you have to separate that reality.
He goes home because he wants to tap into the school's computer systems to change his grade because he's a dick.
Yeah.
Instead of earning his grade.
Oh, please.
So here is where I wished we were watching this together because, wait, I want to bring up just a still on the screen.
Of the MSA 8080?
Yeah, I mean, of his room, of the setup.
Oh, he's got everything. He's got the big VCR. He's got the voice synthesizer.
Why is he, attaching to a fax machine? He puts the phone to ring it or say, what? Explain this thing. I know he's using, what was that called?
A modem.
DOS. He's using DOS for all the commands, right?
Well, it's not really DOS, no. It's a command line, which it looks like DOS. I mean, DOS is just disk operating system. That's all that means. And
because he takes out the floppy and this huge floppy, literally floppy disk.
Yeah.
And I honestly forgot what those were for. Were those for storage? Were those?
Yeah, those were memory because these computers didn't have hard drives back then.
Okay.
So the only memory that existed was on those and the built-in RAM memory, which is like the brain of the computer. Okay. And what you would do normally is you'd have your operating system on one of those floppies, and you pop it in there, and it's about 1.5 megabytes, a little bit less than that. And you would run your operating system there. What?
We in 2016 laugh at that.
It's sickening. And the other, very often, if you have the money, you have the dual floppy, and you could save or load programs from the other one. And it's amazing.
And you really could tap into other computers through a phone line?
Well, what you would do is you'd have a program that would connect that modem. Now, you saw the modem, you had the phone line, and it connects it to the ear.
Yep.
That's basically it's listening and it's sending. It's really simple. And it would have that whole fax machine sound, like, like a fax machine. And that's how, you and I would connect to, like, AOL back in the day, or Prodigy, or...
Right.
Before all that, I was using... I guess the earliest days of me going online was maybe 84 or 85, and that would be a bulletin board system. Where I'd log in, it would just be text-based.
So do you want to play that clip where he dials into the school, and then we'll just pick this up, because...
Sure.
I just want to watch it and get my questions ready here.
Sure.
Here's what I want you to look at. The stuff on the shelf behind him, it looks like a big VCR. Okay, so maybe...
Yeah, it's a big
I guess
VCR.
that's where you put the thing. There's the phone thing there. Okay, go ahead.
Don't touch the keys.
Not touching the keys.
Is this the one?
Excuse me.
No, it was the one...
No, you want the one before that.
Yeah, where he goes into the school.
Sorry. Yeah, you're right.
Was it 2038?
No, I got it. 2038. Sorry.
You're really into computers, huh?
Yeah.
Plug for IMSA.
What are you doing?
Dialing into the school's computer. They change the password every couple of weeks, but I know where they write it down.
Is that true, Ferris?
Are those your grades?
Yeah. I don't think that I deserved an F. Do you?
You can't do that.
Already done. Do you have a middle initial?
K, Catherine. These are my grades.
How can anybody get a D in home ec?
If that's none of your business, can you erase this, please?
No, it's too late.
What are you doing?
I'm changing your biology grade.
No, I don't want you to do that. You're gonna get me in trouble.
No, nobody can find out. There, you just got a C. Now you don't have to go to summer school.
Change it back.
Why? They can't possibly...
I said change it back.
Uh-oh.
Okay.
Wow. You saw those lights behind him
I
there?
better get going.
That right there, whatever that stuff is.
I'll tell you
Thanks for the ride.
Yeah, okay. Bye.
See, this is another example. So Ferris changes the grade to an A. And later on, she actually comes to him and says, yeah, maybe you could change it. And it's another example of when women say no, they mean yes.
They mean yes.
Thank you, 1983. Basically behind him is each... I mean, I don't know what each light does, but they're like in and out, and each light has some purpose. Like, you ever look on the front of your modem or your router, and there's a bunch of lights?
Yep.
And if you look on it and you look closely, you'll see where it says, like, stuff that you have no idea what it means. It'll be like transferring or phone or all this kind of stuff. Each one of those lights represents some level of data use in or out, or a warning light. The computer he used, which was an IMSA 8080, is going on eBay right now for $5,000. Right?
What?
Only $100. No, free shipping. $5,000 for the dual floppy IMSA 8080, and they put a Bluetooth hack into it so that you can connect probably keyboards and stuff like that a lot easier.
So back then...
This is also an older computer, keep in mind. This is from the late 70s.
Well, that was going to be my question. So back then, this computer, which operates on floppies that only have, megabytes of...
A megabyte. Yeah.
A megabyte. Like, you could really do shit on these things?
Yeah, of course. You have full operating systems. DOS fit on, a floppy disk.
I guess. Okay.
Windows 95, I don't know if you remember that far back, but it would fit on, 12 disks?
Did it really?
Yeah. I think it was 18 megabytes or something. You remember Doom? I don't know if you remember the game Doom. It's only 36 megabytes. And as we go on and on, it turns into gigabytes and...
Right.
It gets out of control when it comes to operating systems and terabytes of data and stuff. But you really could do a lot of stuff with a small amount of data. You had to. The Commodore PET computer I just got is only 4K of memory.
Jeez.
4K is 1000K equal 1 megabyte.
Right.
And it's only 4K. So...
That's why I'm like, what are they good for? Like, you saw the screen and...
It's good for text.
Yeah, exactly.
Apparently you can launch missiles with it. And NORAD. The reality of this, though, obviously, is pretty slim to none. But when I was a kid, this was it, man. I was like, I want to be a hacker, too. Because nobody knew about computers back then. It's like myself and maybe 3 friends who are like computer people. And when this came out, it made it look cool to be a part of this whole thing. And
can I say, the idea of the hacker that is captured here is fairly accurate even today.
Yeah.
Except, we're going to play the clip with Deezen in a second, because just to keep the story moving, David comes across an ad in a computer magazine for a new company that has new games coming out, and he wants to try and find the games.
Right.
So he goes to his hacker friends to try and help him.
Yeah.
And their discussions and the things that they were saying, backdoors and stuff like that.
It's completely legitimate and true.
Yeah, that was very surprising to me that they actually...
Well, the director of this movie is very deeply involved in a lot of different conspiracy theories. He was one of the...
What?
Yeah. Look it up. John Badham. He really... he was one of the first people to really bring wiretapping out. He talks about this, and... now we think of wiretapping, yeah, of course they're listening in on us. But back in 1983, we weren't really thinking that way.
Can I say, John Badham was, on a freaking roll at this time.
Well, starting with Saturday Night Fever.
Saturday Night Fever. He had the Bingo Long Traveling All-Stars.
A few years later, Short Circuit was a tremendous hit. I hated it, but another Ally Sheedy movie.
Oh, I loved that. I loved Short Circuit at the time. Maybe you're thinking of Short Circuit 2, which was pretty terrible. He had Blue Thunder, he had Dracula. Oh my God.
But Blue Thunder was also touched upon a lot of conspiracy theories. With
this is true. Yeah, I give you that one.
Yeah, he did a ton of stuff, that was really interesting stuff. He did a TV movie about Evel Knievel, clearly.
Wow, he did. You're right.
He's still around. He's still working on stuff. He's working on some TV
man, he went to TV? What the hell? That's what happens to you?
But he did the 12 Monkeys TV show, which is wearing Constantine, which I think we said would be canceled, and I believe it was.
And it was fairly quickly.
But if you look it up with him, he really kind of he touches upon a lot of conspiracy theories that really aren't conspiracy theories anymore. They're facts.
They're facts? Okay, I'm going to check this out.
With the whole wiretapping thing. And this movie does touch upon a lot of that early 80s paranoia that we were told was crazy for thinking.
Yes.
There also is a lot of, regular phone freaking. I know that we discussed this a little bit. Maybe we can touch upon it a little bit later. But how he gets the dial tone, how he...
I wanted to ask you about that and see if, what did he do?
He short-circuited the phone.
So just to skip ahead in our plot synopsis, he's on the run at this point, and he goes to a payphone, takes off the covering of the mouthpiece of the phone,
the magnet that's in there,
and gets a old-timey Coca-Cola can pull tab.
Yep, anything metal.
And you just touch it, and you get the dial tone?
Well, yeah, I mean, it doesn't work just like that. What it does is and this is all in theory, this is under the best possible conditions. If you notice, he touches it to metal, it doesn't work, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
He's looking for something that's grounded. So what happens is you're touching something that's live in there. So he's touching it to one of the live wires. Then you touch it to something that will short-circuit it. And what happens is the phone resets and gives you a dial tone. Now, I'm not sure why it would give you a dial tone, but supposedly this is something that does work, supposedly.
I wish there were payphones that we could try this on.
I know, right? I think I've tried this a bunch of times and never got it to work. But I used to read zines called the 2600 Hackerly Quarter. It came out quarterly. It was a little, really old school zine about a lot of this type of stuff, and it was called Phone Freaking. And he actually touches upon phone freaking. Freaking is also spelled with a PH, which is kind of funny. Phone freaking, it was a way to make phone calls back then without being billed for it. And you remember how expensive it used to be to make phone calls.
Oh, yeah.
So you can imagine he's making long-distance phone calls like crazy, but he's not getting billed for any of it.
Right.
And that's phone freaking, And there's a million different ways to have done it,
Well, when I think Ally Sheedy says when he's trying to dial into Protovision, he's calling every number in California or something.
In one base and two prefixes, he's calling every single number,
which must take a very long time.
Yeah.
But she says, "Don't you get billed for that?" And he says, "There's ways around that."
And what he's doing is also called brute force hacking. It just means. Kind of like trying to crack a combination lock or something.
And do we want to play the Deezen clip just so we can?
Yeah, let's get Deezen out of the way.
Let's tie this into our summer.
And I the backdoor thing is a real thing, man. I mean, this is something that programmers have been known to put in a lot of their programming. Now, in government computers, probably not as much. But here we go.
Jim.
Oh, lineman.
Hi, Lightman. I want you to take a look at this. Hey, what's that? I wanted Jim to see that. Wow, where'd you get this? I was trying to break into Protovision. I wanted to see the program for their new games.
Hey, wait, Jim, I'm not through yet.
By the way, I remember seeing years and years ago that the guys in the background of this particular scene are legitimate famous hackers from the time.
Are they?
Yeah, I have to dig that up where I learned that, but if you see a few people in the background, and supposedly they're hardcore. They might have even been hired for the film to give it a certain level of authenticity or something. To kind of help them along with the dialogue and stuff.
Remember you told me to tell you when you were acting rudely and insensitively? Remember that? You're doing it right now. Theater-wide biotoxic and chemical warfare. This didn't come from Protovision.
You bet it didn't. Ask him where it did come from, Jim. Go ahead, ask him.
I told you already.
Looks military to me. Definitely military. Probably classified, too.
Yeah, but if it's military, why does it have games like checkers and backgammon?
Maybe because those are games that teach basic strategy.
Jim, how do I get into that system? I want to play those games.
You're not supposed to see any of that stuff. That system probably contains a new data encryption algorithm. You'll never get in there.
Hey, I don't believe that any system is totally secure. I bet you Jim could get in.
Yeah, I bet you couldn't.
I bet you he could.
Well, you'll never get in through the frontline security, but you might look for a back door.
I can't believe it, Jim. That girl's standing over there listening and you're telling her about our back doors?
Mr. Potato Head. Mr. Potato Head, back doors are not secrets.
Yeah, but Jim, you're giving away all our best tricks.
They're not tricks.
What's a back door?
Well, whenever I design a system, I always put in a simple password that only I know about. That way, whenever I want to get back in, I can bypass whatever security they've added on. That's basically what it is.
Yeah?
Okay, you really want to get in, find out as much as you can about the guy who designed the system.
Aw, come on, I don't even know the guy's name.
Where are you guys dumb? You guys are so dumb. I got this thing all figured out. I figured it out all by myself.
Oh, yeah, Malvin? How would you do it?
The first game on the list. Go right through Falcon's Maze.
Did we listen to the awesome music?
Yeah, I love that. I do love that music.
I think I want to pick up the soundtrack, actually. Now,
I want it.
I know you were saying this isn't like, you know, a big Deezen movie, but I have to disagree. I think that Deezen was one of the more memorable moments of this movie.
Oh,
and,
no, I agree. I agree.
He doesn't say that much, but it's all quotable. I mean, it's... You know, Mr. Potato, you know, he's part of one of the, more comedic moments of the movie. Which you have to respect, I think. And he falls into that nerd persona, which I love.
So eventually, with the help of I just like the prominent use of a library card catalog to talk about outdated technologies.
You can't just Google that, buddy? Imagine.
Imagine if they had the internet back then.
Well, I guess he wouldn't have to do what he's doing then.
But he's eventually able to crack into what he thinks is Protovision, but which turns out to be Stephen Hawking. So...
Actually, I thought it was an early Siri.
I don't know if you want to play that clip, and because this is like the iconic.
Now, everybody loves this "shall we play a game" thing. It's just a voice synthesizer. All of our computers have them now. Now they're much more advanced, of course. You know, in your Android phones, you have the Hey Google or whatever it is, or in this we have Hey Siri and all that kind of stuff, and it sounds more natural. But in these early days, you had these real voice synthesis type of things, and they were pretty cool. But here we go.
Can't be that simple.
By the way, the password that he gets in, he finds out that Falcon, the designer of the program, had a son named Joshua who died. So the login, the backdoor password, is his dead son's name, Joshua.
Wow. We got something.
We're in. It thinks I'm Falcon. Hello.
Imagine if your computer made this much noise when you typed. All he did was type hello, and it's like ridiculous. I mean, they have to add this kind of stuff to just kind of create a moment, because even when he goes, "I'm in," Ally Sheedy's like, "Oh yeah?
Oh yeah."
Great. I'll be right back from the bathroom. By the way,
still the same screen there.
When I was 10 years old, I thought everybody who lived in Seattle had these big, beautiful houses, and I don't know, they all had bathrooms in their room. I didn't have a bathroom in my room. So.
How can it ask you that?
It'll ask you whatever it's programmed to ask you. You want to hear it talk?
Yeah.
I'll ask it how it feels.
I'm fine. How are you?
Excellent. It's been a long time. Can you explain the removal of your user account on June
Nice speaker.
23rd, 1973?
They must have told it he died. People sometimes make mistakes.
Yes, they do.
How can I talk?
It's not a real voice. This box just interprets signals from the computer and turns them into sound.
Shall we play a game?
Oh.
I think I missed him.
Yeah, weird, isn't it?
Yeah.
Love to. How about global thermonuclear war?
Yeah, go for like the big kahuna, right? Like don't mess with like checkers.
Because I'm sure you know how to play it.
Well, sorry, what?
He knows how to play this strange game that he's never.
Yeah, like it's just like
start small.
Yeah, yeah. Learn a few commands.
Later, let's play global thermonuclear war.
Fine.
All right.
In the worst possible graphics you could imagine, they create. It's called ASCII. Actually, if you, it's ASCII. I forget what it means, but it's when you draw pictures with like the characters that exist on a keyboard. And that's basically what it is, and it's printing out a map on the screen of
this United States and what is that? Russia, right?
I guess Europe, Russia. Yeah, it's Russia. Just Russia.
Which side do you want?
I'll be the Russians.
Why does he pick Russia?
And
Please list primary targets.
Who should we nuke first?
Let's see. How about Las Vegas?
Las Vegas. Great. What next?
Seattle! Yeah!
So basically, the poor people that are in the government all of a sudden find out that there's now a nuclear strike coming towards our country. And they just go kind of batshit crazy. Because it looks real on the screen. And I think that this is another scenario where if it had just been computers, we would all be dead, right?
What do you mean?
Like if only computers were dealing with this, we'd be dead.
Exactly.
So yeah, I guess there is that conflict. And and yeah, and that's it. You know, basically they think they're just playing a game. They're going back and forth. And they decide that they're kind of bored, I think. And they decide to end the game, right?
Right. And he turns off. He turns it off.
They look on the news that night. And they find out that what they had done was actually a real situation that they created. And now everybody's freaking out about it.
And they eventually get, Broderick gets nabbed by the FBI and brought to, what is it called? NORAD?
But you know what? You have this clip here, but when the W.O.P.R is basically calling him back.
Playing. Oh, you want to play? Okay.
Yeah, I think that's kind of creepy. I think it's great because you're being stalked
by
a computer.
Yeah.
You're being stalked basically by the creator's dead sons. Yeah, I mean it's almost like Pet Sematary in a little bit of a way. Whoops, sorry. I went a little too far. So he runs up to his room. He's like, I'm going to destroy the evidence because he, for whatever reason, printed out everything.
Greetings, Professor Vulcan.
Oh my God. Incorrect identification.
Size of that screen.
I am not Vulcan. Vulcan is dead.
Sorry to hear that, Professor. Yesterday's game was interrupted, although primary goal has not yet been achieved. Solution is near. Game time elapsed 31 hours, 12 minutes, 50 seconds. Estimated time remaining 52 hours, 17 minutes, 10 seconds.
What is the primary goal?
You should know, Professor. You programmed me.
Oh, come on. What is the primary goal?
To win the game.
To win the game.
Now, okay, so now he knows something's wrong, and yet the very next day, like, he's out in the street just, like, shopping.
He's going to 7-Eleven, getting the big gulp.
I'm like, shouldn't you, like, be
Tell
doing
somebody,
something?
Well, here's the thing, I wonder if Woody had gone right to the police, would he really...
would have been...
Yeah, and that's my Woody Woodpecker joke, with if Woody had gone right to the police. Yeah, like he could say, I was trying to hack into something else, I got into this, I don't know what to do. And they would all, that would be the end of it, I guess.
That is a prominent 7-Eleven
yeah.
placement there. I didn't realize how much product placement is in this movie.
Right there with the MSA 8080.
So that was a high-end computer at the time? That was like...
It was actually kind of an older computer at the time, but the computers weren't updating the way they were now. This computer came out in like 1977.
So,
yeah.
Okay. And
but it was still like updatable and used,
I didn't know that you could update computers back then. That I thought they were so rigidly
they were so
constructed that you couldn't really update or modify or
these weren't
add to.
These weren't like home computers. These were professional. Like, this is the kind of stuff that the school would have. Like they would have all the records on a main system like this. This would be a very serious computer.
Right.
This is not something some kid, some 17-year-old kid is going to purchase, except for Matthew Broderick. And actually, WizKids came out right after this movie, the popularity of this movie, and we get Matthew Lamberto, from Little House on the Prairie, who becomes Richie Adler, and he becomes this character basically in WizKids, and he's got a homemade computer, and it's pretty cool.
How many seasons was WizKids? That
2?
was only one. Was it 2?
Maybe
2.
2.
I was wondering if maybe that's why Matthew Lamberto sort of disappeared, like he's living off royalties from Little House and
he does like voiceover
and Misfits.
Yeah, but he does like voiceover work now and stuff.
So David's nabbed, and we got to play. We had one clip earlier with Dabney, so if we want to play this clip with Dabney, he's got some funny shtick.
Where he gets told a high school kid did it?
Yeah, yep.
I always liked Dabney Coleman.
I did too, and again, like he was in a lot of movies at this time.
Mm-hmm. He's always playing the same kind of character too.
Yeah, much like Matthew Broderick, but he does it better.
Yeah, I hear that. Yeah, he's a very likable character.
Yeah, he's very funny.
I think it's very difficult to dislike Dabney Coleman in this movie because his choices are correct.
And he's got that Dabney Coleman stash.
Yeah, the stash. He's always got a suit on. He's always got like a suit with a sweater on. All right, here we go.
Summer scramble, and so they went on alert. We told them it was just an exercise, but we're waiting for them to relax their posture before we do. Wait. Give me that. Here.
Oh, Christ, another tour group, just what we need today. Have to go to Disneyland where they belong.
Well, I think they're going to tomorrow.
Okay, all set?
Yeah.
Oh, here.
Hands her the gum. And
the cavity was a 1 in a million shot. There was an open line at our space division in Sunnyvale. The phone company screwed up.
John McKittrick, George Wigan. How are you? George's with the FBI. He brought the kid in for questioning.
Well, it looks like we've got a high school prank on our hands here.
Oh, what happened?
You know who the bald-headed guy is?
I've seen him before in at least one. Which one? The guy in the suit or the guy explaining what happened?
He seems like he's a little bit in charge here. The older guy, yeah.
Oh yeah. I've seen him in a few Al Pacino movies.
Oh, okay. No, he was also the principal in Back to the Future.
Was he really? I know he was in Top Gun too.
Oh, really?
I'm pretty sure.
Here's a little trivia for you. I've never seen Top Gun.
No way.
Yeah, I never saw it. No, I never liked Tom Cruise, so I just didn't have an interest. But here we go.
Well, the kid broke into the Wargames subsystem, all right, using a password left by the original programmer.
Password?
Yes, sir. Now, none of my team even knew it was in there.
Kid claims he was looking for a toy company. That's great. Anybody in here buy that one?
Well, we can find the password and take it out, but it might help to beef up security around the Whopper.
No, beef up. How about screwed up? We did all that, and he broke in again. Kid says your computer called him.
What the hell is going on, John? I woke up the president. I told him we were under attack by the Russians. You have any idea what kind of an idiot that makes me look like? Not to mention the general. Wait a minute, gentlemen. I think we're being a little naive here. There's no way that a high school punk can put a dime in a telephone and break into our system. He's got to be working with somebody else. He's got to be.
He does fit the profile perfectly. He's intelligent, but an underachiever. Alienated from his parents, has few friends. A classic case for recruitment by the Soviets.
Now, what does this say about the state of our country? I mean,
this could be a news conference for today, right? Like, this is basically talking about, like, the people who, like, hack, like, for Anonymous and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds like the same thing, and this is 30 years ago.
have you gotten any insight as to why a bright boy like this would jeopardize the lives of millions?
No, sir. He says he does this sort of thing for fun.
What? Damn it, John, I want some answers, and I want them now. Let me talk to this little prick. I don't want to talk anymore. Just do it. Oh.
Thanks, Obama. You heard them? He whispered, he goes, thanks, Obama. Actually, you know who's in this movie is Donald Trump. No, I'm kidding. That would be hilarious. Like in the background, he's just walking like, I'm Donald Trump. All right, so we, Matthew Broderick's character is now in custody in NORAD. I don't know why they would bring him to NORAD.
Right.
If he's this hacker.
Why there's a tour going through there.
He talks to Dabney Coleman, and then Dabney Coleman leaves him in an office with a computer that's connected to the mainframe system. That's online. You know, in the intranet is what it would be called. Like it's integrated within their own system. So what does a hacker do? He contacts the W.O.P.R, Joshua, right from Dabney Coleman's office. And get some more information, and finally basically figures out that Joshua's not only still playing, but he's going to win. But he also finds out that Falcon has another address. Even though he's supposed to be deceased, he got this other address that's supposed to be classified. I don't know why Joshua would give it up so easily. But,
well, because he thinks he's with Falcon, I think.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I guess maybe this gives him full access to all the secrets.
So he makes his way, Broderick makes his way to, where was it? Goose Island? Goose Island?
Yeah, Goose Island.
Oregon.
Yeah.
And asks Falcon to help. And, of course, Ally Sheedy shows up.
And he has, like, this kind of, like, big,
pterodactyl.
Yeah, like it was.
I want one of those because
thing was huge,
and the exterior was like. I mean, I don't know what that was made of, but it looked like a pterodactyl.
Yeah, it looked awesome. It looked. I'm trying to remember what it was called back then. It was what was it called in the Godzilla movies?
What?
the character's name almost. Like there was Godzilla as like the dinosaur that was all like whatever, and then there was like
Mothra.
Something like that. It'll come to me. But yeah, the thing looked incredible. It was probably like 4 feet long.
yeah, and they had an outer skin or something. I don't know what it was made out of, but it looked cool.
It was definitely cool.
If I saw that flying towards me, I'd fucking freak.
Yeah, like and you could probably make something like that pretty easily nowadays.
So at this point, Falcon is kind of like a bummer character, but a little later on, he does have a couple of good lines with Dabney Coleman, but I don't know if you would just want to give folks a little...
Now, my list of your cues go from Q12 to 17, I just noticed.
What?
Yeah, there's no cues in between 12 and 17. I don't know if you have it on your end. But if you want to throw some times at me, that's cool.
All right, hold on. Wait for a second. Oh, fuck.
I wish I could remember the name of this stupid thing. I was just talking about it yesterday. See, you're screwing up, man.
Because my computer is all...
I'm kidding.
Oh, there it is. Okay, hold on. Oh, this is so
But
annoying.
I love this movie. This movie made me want to have mainframe computers and get into...
No, you're right. You're right. It does. I don't know why I did that.
That's cool.
So 11 is the one I was thinking of.
Okay. Let's give it a sec here. Alrighty. I love the sound effects of this. It's like Tron and like it's amazing.
You really haven't been listening, have you?
Yes, I have. I loved it when you nuked Las Vegas. Suitably biblical ending to the place, don't you think?
You gonna call him up and tell him what Joshua's doing?
Now, children, come on over here. I'm going to tell you a bedtime story.
Creepy.
Are you sitting comfortably? Then I'll begin. Once upon a time, there lived a magnificent race of animals. Dominated the world through age after age.
Rodan is what I'm thinking of. Rodan. Yeah, that's what.
He's showing dinosaur footage.
Yeah.
And on a screen. I don't know. I guess he's trying to make a point.
Yeah, and it's like stop motion, kind of weird stock footage.
I was trying to figure out where that's from. I was thinking it's like one of those Edgar Rice Burroughs adaptations from the 70s, like Land Before Time, or The People That Time Forgot.
I bet you can find out through this.
It just looked very familiar, but maybe some of our listeners might know.
All right, here we go.
Ran, and they swam, and they fought, and they flew. Until suddenly, quite recently, they disappeared. Nature just gave up and started again. We weren't even apes then. We were just these smart little rodents hiding in the rocks. And when we go, nature will start again. With the bees, probably. Nature knows when to give up, David.
I'm not giving up. If Joshua tricks them into launching an attack, it'll be your fault.
My fault?
No.
The whole point was to find a way to practice nuclear war without destroying ourselves. To get the computers to learn from mistakes we couldn't afford to make. Except that I never could get Joshua to learn the most important lesson.
What's that?
Futility. That there's a time when you should just give up.
What kind of a lesson is that?
Did you ever play tic-tac-toe?
Yeah, of course.
But you don't anymore.
No.
Why?
Because it's a boring game. It's always a tie.
Exactly. There's no way to win. The game itself is pointless. But back at the war room, they believe you can win a nuclear war. That there can be acceptable losses.
So you gave up? Decided to play dead?
For security reasons, they graciously arranged my death. Did you know that no land animal with a body weight of over 50 pounds survived that age? Extinction is part of the natural order.
Bullshit!
Do you know what this entire scene reminds me so much of? Even like Broderick's like screechiness. The Lost Boys. This place looks exactly like the cabin that they lived in. Like
That's
all
a
the
good
taxidermy stuff and everything looks like it was made right then and there. It just seems like exactly like the same exact cabin.
Yeah.
If we're extinguished,
Sorry.
there's nothing natural about that. It's just stupid.
Oh, it's all right. I've planned ahead. We're just 3 miles from a primary target. A millisecond of brilliant light, and we're vaporized. Much more fortunate than the millions who'll wander sightless through the smoldering aftermath. We'll be spared the horror of survival.
I'm only 17 years old. I'm not ready to die yet.
You won't make a simple phone call?
If the real Joshua was still alive, your Joshua, you'd do it, wouldn't you?
Look, we might gain a few years, perhaps time enough for you to have a son and watch him die. But humanity, planning its own destruction, that a phone call won't stop.
This is unreal. You don't care about death because you're already dead. I know a lot about you. I know you weren't always like this. What was the last thing you cared about?
You've missed the last ferry. You're welcome to stay. You want to sleep on the floor? Good night.
Well, he's Mr. Cheery.
Right? And you know, again, with the message,
Yeah.
the movie gets a little heavy-handed.
And a little bit slow and draggy at this point as well.
Yeah. And then they get back to NORAD. And, you know, there's a couple of tense scenes there as they do the countdown and what's going to happen. So I did like the last, like, 15, 20 minutes.
Sure.
Maybe
I mean,
15 minutes.
It starts getting crazy because basically Joshua was trying to figure out the launch codes to win the game. And that's another example of brute force hacking. But, you know, going through each and every combination until he gets the correct code.
And then to get him out of that, though, they have him play tic-tac-toe over and over again, and the computer ultimately makes a decision, which if you want to play that clip, what is that, 17? No, not that one.
W.O.P.R learns a lesson?
Yeah.
Now,
this is where
I
the
know
movie
it's silly.
got little schmaltzy.
You know, it's kind of like the vampire, and like a vampire can never give up, can never pass by a knot or something. Like they always have to untie a knot. I'm not really sure why, but it's almost like tic-tac-toe, which can, you know, obviously it's such a simple game. If you're playing against yourself, you can't win. So it's going and going and going and going and going all these different ways, and it's frustrating itself until it
explodes.
Boom, yeah, which is silly.
Well, the computer can't do that.
But it can. Well, if you can actually use a computer and you get it to do too much. Like if you have too many windows open and too many browsers happening, it starts slowing down, right?
Right. Let me move this off my lap right now.
And your processor starts getting hotter because you're having it do more calculations.
Right.
And the more calculations you're doing, the more it's doing, and it's getting overloaded, and it'll crash or it'll do something. And essentially, what they're trying to do is get the W.O.P.R to crash because it just cannot figure a way to win, even.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, it's stupid, but I understand what it's trying to sell. But here we go.
Major Dave, get me the president.
Yes, sir.
trying to break through on satellites.
Of course, this is mostly a visual scene, but you see Joshua going through the different scenarios as to how to have thermonuclear war and win. And I guess Joshua comes out with... Is there dialogue from Joshua at the end of this?
There is, yeah.
So I'll let it play. By the way, who's to say that they have a voice synthesizer, just happens to be the same one, and all that type of stuff.
Greetings, Professor Falcon.
Hello, Joshua.
Strange game. The only winning move is not to play. How about a nice game of chess?
And the lights are back on.
All is well. All is well.
There you go. You get your, anti-war message. Even computers understand it. Why can't we?
I was like, all right. I guess it had to end somehow. But
thanks, Obama. And I think that this is a great movie. I think that this movie is beautifully filmed. I think it's a fun movie to watch. As my nephew loved it. I think that your kids might like it when they're a little bit older. I don't think my kid could sit through it at this time. It's a little too talky, But
yeah, it's not very flashy. It's not a flashy movie at all.
But it's very
not
dramatic,
just because,
though.
it is.
The ending is very dramatic. I think it's soundtrack is actually pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, if you get that, let me know. I would like to.
Well, it's on YouTube, so
it
I'll send you a link to that.
Okay.
But there's John Badham. I think he had a winner here. This is a total classic. It really touches upon an early '83 type thing. I also want to mention Ally Sheedy was riding a moped in the early part of this movie.
Do you remember mopeds? God, I wish. Yeah. Do they still make those?
I think everybody makes scooters now.
Yeah, they're scooters, though. Those fucking French things.
I like the these had pedals and stuff.
Yep.
I bet you can get one pretty cheap.
What would they do miles per hour? Miles per gallon? Do you know?
I mean,
nothing, right?
No, it'd be incredible. You'd probably get 100 miles to the gallon.
What?
Yeah,
serious?
Yeah, you're going top speed of maybe 30 miles per hour, but that's pretty fast if you think about it.
True.
You know what? While we have it here, miles per hour of a 1980s moped. Or not miles per hour, miles per gallon.
I know they probably don't go very fast anyway, but.
Hold on, just give me a sec. These mopeds had a tiny motor, 50cc motor. I mean, you take like a Harley Davidson from 1980. It's getting 41.5 miles per gallon.
Nice.
That's a Harley, though.
I know they took gas, but didn't you also charge them as well?
Well, I think that's what the pedal is for.
Okay.
I don't know what this is, but Jesus Christ. In 1980, Honda made an XL 125S, right? It got 76.5 miles to gallon. That's nuts, dude.
That's
Matt, I want to just see if this is a moped. Not a dirt bike, but still.
No wonder.
That's crazy. That really is. All right, so that's like kind of fun to like figure out. But I bet you they got like some kind of ridiculous, amazing miles per gallon.
Now you're making me want to get one.
Yeah.
I think I like them better. They're better looking than those scooters that you see around now.
Well, they're kind of cool.
What do they call those?
So retro.
They're like Italian.
The Vespas.
The Vespa. That's what.
Vespas are cool. I always like them, but they're a little too. Like who would ride one? I think Deezen has one. He actually rode one on Midnight Madness.
Oh, that's right. They did. Yes,
Yeah.
his team did.
But all right, man. Well, thank you very much for getting together. Eddie Deezen, if you're listening to this, go to VHSrewind.com for your prize. And there you can get a free Donny Osmond poster.
And thank you for turning me on to this flick.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I'm glad you liked it. And what did we say that the next Deezen flick was going to be?
We're going to end this summer with Spielberg's 1941.
Awesome. I think that's the one that most people really wanted us to do in the first place.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing that again.
All right, man. So we'll talk to you next time. Thank you very much.
Have a good one.
How do you think it feels to be extinct? Algae and amoebas, spiny little fishes, dinosaurs and reptiles, probably delicious. It's a long